This is Constakang's version of Android 14 on a Raspberry Pi 5, which has just been released, and obviously it's a great tablet operating system and works really, really well on the Raspberry Pi 5. So if I go through all my apps that are open at the moment, you can see I can switch between them nice and quickly and go back to Google Play Store, which I've installed. Using my video, which I've done on a Raspberry Pi 4, it's exactly the same method to install and also install the Google Play Store. If you're having trouble getting Android to boot on your Raspberry Pi 4 or 5, it's often down to displays, and there is some information in Constakang's blog. I'll have a look at that later on. But let's launch Call of Duty Mobile. Seems to be working absolutely fine. You can see if I move around, it's lovely and fast. Right, let's do this next bit of the tutorial. And tap on the aim. Oh, missed. Got him. I've just switched over to this setup with my WiMAXit display because I can now screen capture with my little screen capture device behind. So this is my, again, 8 gig Raspberry Pi 4. I have been using my 4 gig and it's been working fine on that. And this is my Xbox Series S controller, which is paired to the device. You can use mouse and keyboard for lots of things. You know, you can drag up from the bottom and you can drag down from the top. But as I've got a touchscreen display, I tend to use that when I'm using Android. So let's try something which is controller supported, Grid Auto Sport. Oh, and I need to change my audio. So if I press the home button and swipe up and go to settings, because we have system and Raspberry Pi settings. I haven't tried overclocking on this yet. I suppose I could now. So audio device, HDMI 1 sends the audio to my USB capture card so I can use my speaker and control the sound separately. But HDMI 0 was the normal HDMI output, which was what the Raspad was using. So you can see resolution is set to 1920 by 1080. Interestingly, Call of Duty didn't seem to launch at that resolution, but the Raspad, which I think is something like 1280 by 800, it worked first time on that. We also have display rotation, force rotation, touchscreen controls, HDMI CEC, and here we go, maximum CPU frequency. So I'll leave it, at the moment, I'll leave it not overclocked. But let's go back to that game. So let's just dive into a quick race. What have we got? Time attack or race. And touring is the only option we get in the free version at this stage. I think you unlock some things in it. And one track at the moment. Yeah, it looks lovely and crisp. So the desktop's running at 1080. I think it's triggers for acceleration. It feels like it is. Yeah, it's triggers. As you can see, it's lovely and smooth. The distance is really good as well. So there's all sorts of things in the distance. And I can see, you know, right to those hills and everything. There's nothing sort of popping up or anything like that. Can I manage to overtake someone? Come on. Oh, lap 2. That's better. Yeah, super impressive. Let's see some of the replay to see how good the game looks. Yeah, it does look really nice. What a super impressive mobile game. Right, let's hit the Windows key and try something else. Now, I did actually split this up into games that work and games that don't work. So if I go to the right-hand side, GTA San Andreas launches almost all the way and then cuts out. Same with RL Sideswipe, and the same with Fortnite. Well, actually, Fortnite does something different. So we click on Fortnite, and I have had this working on Orange Pi 5, but it would let me play around at the start, but as soon as the game started, it detected that the device, there was something corrupt with the device or the install or whatever. And as you can see here, we need a newer version of OpenGL. We've got OpenGL 3.1, but this needs 3.2 and beyond, which is such a shame because I really wanted to see Fortnite running on this. And the Switch emulator, I've got a game in here. I've put everything as it should be, but unfortunately it doesn't launch. Haven't tried any other games. It might just be the game and the keys combination that I'm using. But if we go back to some of the things that do work, Amazon Prime Video. So if I go to, say for instance, TV shows, the live TV works fine. So if I pick something that I probably would be alright to play, let's go with Judy Justice and play. Obviously I can't play much of this. Continue. So it starts up really quick. You can see that's working. But let's put on a streaming program and maybe something a bit more recent. So if we do a search for Grand Tour, and you can see, if we click on that and resume an episode. Now it'll obscure some of the screen, but you can probably see here that the picture quality doesn't look good. And that's because this is the mobile version of the app. And that's because this version is the tablet version of Android. So a great thing about that is you do get the download option, so you can download and watch these later, which is a really, really good thing. But if we had the Android TV version, which Kang has said he's working on, and also the Lineage OS version he's working on, although that's also a tablet-based version, but that's my favourite version. But if you want to use this as a TV device on a 1080 or a 4K TV and get those much higher streaming rates, you need the TV version. And I did try and sideload it, but it kept saying it was trying to update it, but even if I uninstalled the mobile version. So it's working, but not at the higher resolution, so only really suitable for portable devices at this stage. So AIDA64 will tell us about what's installed and everything. So you can see Raspberry Pi 5, this is my 8 gig model. It tells me how much available memory, how much storage I've got left on my 64 gig micro SD card. CPU, you can see that it's not overclocked or anything, and it does talk about OpenGL ES 3.1 Mesa, and there is Vulkan support in here as well, which we'll see in a minute. And if we go to thermals, we can see how hot my Pi 5 is using the Ice Tower cooler, and there's all sorts of more information here, but let's skip past that and try a bit of emulation. So PS2 with Ether SX2, and let's go with a bit of Vice City. And if I press back on my keyboard, I've got a save state in here, so let's load that. And here to go straight back into it and show you that it's working. Oh, hold up, I can't play Michael Jackson, can I? Audio, music, and go back in, through the trees, through the bush, nice driving. And it looks pretty decent. It's definitely dropping some frames. It's not as good as the Linux version, and we could really do it with it being a newer version of Vulkan. But as you can see, it's a great start. You know, this is the first version of Android on the Raspberry Pi 5, and I'm playing a PS2 emulator with GTA on it. So if I go back on this, and just to show app settings, graphics, there you go. So it's using Vulkan. Actually, I haven't tried it with OpenGL. Let's see if it's... sometimes it's better with OpenGL. A lot of the time Vulkan can be a massive improvement, but not always. Oh, and it just quits out on OpenGL. Well, let's just try that one more time. It's funny how it can be one thing or the other, but rarely... Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't like that. Right, okay, so I need to switch now back to Vulkan. So app settings, graphics, and Vulkan, and back in, and use that save state. Here we go, and we're back in. So if I go home from here, because it wants to play Michael Jackson again, PPSSPP is super impressive. Now, I can't remember which way I had this working, so yeah, so this is with Vulkan, 4 times PSP resolution at 1080. So if we go in, and this is Vice City Stories, so it's a PSP game, not any other system. Look at the definition and everything on there. It just looks really, really good for a PSP game. Oh. And let's go, some of these signs out here, I'm amazed at how good they can look, how well they upscale look. That is incredible. It's so crisp. And also even, so have a look at the frames per second, so it should be running around about 30. And look at the trees and the flare from the sun and everything. Let's do a bit of a jump. It is running incredibly well. Oh dear, there's too many things in the way. Oh, what happened there? Okay, let's try something else. But yeah, that's impressive. So again, working with Vulkan 4 times at 1080. And I'm not sure how much difference it makes closing down the apps, but you can see I've got various different things running at the moment. We've got the grid, that's a really nice screenshot of that. We've got the PS2 emulator. And if you want to close any down, just drag them up. And it's super, super quick, super smooth. So if I go back to home, and let's try a bit of Dolphin, a bit of GameCube, with a bit of Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX. So it's using OpenGL, as you can see, ES 3.1, and all the menus are absolutely fine. Let's just go straight into a game. And it's pretty much there, but it's not 100%. Yeah, it's good enough to be playable and enjoyable, but it does occasionally have some slowdown. But as you can see, it looks really crisp, looks really nice and clear. So happy with that, but when we get Vulkan working with it, Vulkan definitely works a lot better on this. So let's hit home. DuckStation I haven't even tried yet, which is a PlayStation emulator, but one really good thing about that is you can run really high resolutions on it. N64 is something that you can often get trouble with not working well, and Destruction Derby 64 is one that I've definitely struggled with on the Pi 4. Getting a little bit of audio breakup, not so much then though. Right, oh, not trigger. Okay, and it's the analog stick. So this game definitely, when you go through the, oh yeah, that's fast, yeah. That feels absolutely fine. Although I'm looking at the top, what does it say, 45? Oh dear, that was unfortunate, wasn't it? What's it saying, 44 FPS, that's a weird FPS. Around one of these corners you get a bit of lens flare and it really struggles with it on the Pi 4. But that definitely feels much nicer. Here we go. Yeah, this bit. No, that doesn't seem to have slowed it down. I guess it's probably meant to be 50, is it? A lot of these games are American ROMs and should be running at 50. So it is slowing down a bit, but it's still enjoyable to play. So let's quit out of that. And I've already done Roblox in a separate video. What else have I got? Rally 1 is the last game to try. And I think I downloaded this again because it was a controller game. Versus, can I race someone online? Let's give that a try. So let's go with the Lancia. And next, let's find a rival. I wonder if you actually, I know in some of these games you don't actually race someone. But I wonder if it is someone live. And they've gone for the Peugeot 205. Now I haven't really played this much, so this could be quite bad. Looks good though, doesn't it? Again, as a mobile game. So beat Ivan. Oh, there's a bit of wheel spin at the start. What? Oh dear. Well, luckily, Ivan's on a Sunday drive, it looks like. Oh, it's very slippery though. Come on. I can beat Ivan, look. It's hardly moving. This is what makes you think, is it someone real? It's very, yeah, there's loads of slide. Was it sand or something? Come on. Oh, it's really loose. Actually, maybe it is a real, but I don't know. Around the outside. Yes. Oh no, hold on. Oh, we're in. Is it just one lap? Yes, say it's just one lap. Excellent. And let's try and find a non-online game just to see if the speed's different. And also a different type of track, because that was really loose gravel or sand or whatever. And what else have I got? Path to Glory. Championship. That looks like it's on the same sort of surface. Well, we'll just give it a try anyway. Oh, a bit of rain. does look really good. Even the rain looks decent as well. Vehicles on the side of the road are a bit rough looking, but it is so impressive for a mobile game. Look at that reflection as well. Oh, again, it's, I mean, I quite like when games are a bit like this, a bit more of a simulation. But that, yeah, it's good. I like that. I can see me playing this more. And I hadn't even heard of this game. I just did a search for gamepad games and sort of saw what was around. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, hit the home button and just show you a bit more of those. Oh, I suppose I could try the overclock and see what the overclock does with the Dolphin emulator, because that was running a bit slow. So let's go into settings and system and Raspberry Pi settings. Let's also drop the resolution as well. So let's go down to 720, which will kill my screen capture. And it hasn't done it yet, but I guess after a restart maybe it'll do it. And also let's do that overclock. So let's go right up to 2.9, which is what it's given me. And let's go for performance. Yeah, that'll do. Right, so what do we think? Restart. So drag down from the top, hit that and restart, and then we'll check when it's restarted. We'll be able to see the resolution. Let's have a look. So system, Raspberry Pi settings. It does say it's at 720. And is it still showing? Yeah, it's still showing 2.9 and it's still showing performance. Let's go into A to 64. So CPU 2.9 and display, we get an advert, 1280 by 720. Okay, so yeah, it definitely has worked. Right, so Dolphin emulator. Right, graphics settings, let's just see what it's still on OpenGL, which was the one it was working on before. And let's go back into Dave Mirror. Okay, let's have a look at those FPS and see. Certainly feels smooth. Yeah, it looks like it's around about 60. That was ambitious. Yeah, I'd say that's an improvement. So nice that you can overclock so simply just within that menu system. And I was going to talk about displays. So if we go to Firefox, which is the browser I think seems to work the best on this, it allows you to download and install APKs and things like that. So I'm happy with that. And let's go to Kang's blog. And this is always worth looking at. So if we go to the Raspberry Pi 4 one, but then we pick devices and Raspberry Pi 5, and close this down. And if we scroll down through, so just click on the AOSP builds. So this is the one I'm using, November the 23rd. And there is something about displays in here. You can see what is supported and what not working and so on. Overall, very good. There you go, my display is not working. I can only see a rainbow screen but no Android boot animation. What should I do? This build only supports HDMI displays that report supported resolutions using EDID. 1920 by 1080 resolution is used by default with this build. You can change the value in boot resolution.txt. So you would put this SD card into link. Well, we'll have a look at that in a minute. How do you use the official display? And you can see it's on there for how to use it. And you're turning on touchscreen. I'm using, in both cases, I've used USB touchscreen devices and they've just worked straight away. So let's have a look at that display setting. So boot resolution.txt. So let's shut this down and start up Linux. So if I unseat the micro SD card and then just press the power button to start it up, and that will boot from my SSD drive, which is around here. And I've also got a USB stick in here, a USB stick where all my ROMs were. This is powering the display from my hub. I use a USB sound card just because it's easier for me capturing videos because I can separate the audio that way. So this is Raspberry Pi OS with KDE Plasma and various other tweaks and things installed into it. I've got it available as a separate download if you want to try out this operating system. But let's push the SD card into the Pi and you can see it shows up. It's this one here, so mount and open. And we're looking for resolution.txt. Yeah, so you would just pick your resolution and save that in there. Very simple. And what else is in here? So there's config.txt, and you can see that the CPU 2.9 it's set to, which I've done through the system. There's also, if you're booting from SD card, USB or NVMe now, which we didn't used to have on the Pi 4, and you would get rid of the hash on the one that you wanted to boot from. So yeah, great work by Kang and everybody else involved. Very, very impressive. Okay, so I hope all this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.